I'm waiting until we get the notification that we're actually live on YouTube before I start. Alright, looks like we're published. Let me make sure here. Yep, we're live now. I'm going to take this. Let's see here, hold on. I'm going to go to Facebook and publish that we're live before we go audio. I don't know how long this was going to last, but you guys, if you've paid attention, anything that's happened on the internet over the last couple of days, you probably know what I'm going to be talking about. Oh, let me change my audio. Put it here. Hold on just a second. First things first. Oh, that's much better. Right, let's see. I've gone up on the audio output for you guys a little bit just to make sure that you're getting a decent output on the video. Tom Brady, appreciate you for the input on that. So let me mark where I've got the volume knob here. All right. So, we post this here. With the Nike Talk. Share now. All right. And I'm going to share this on my timeline. All right. And get my throat clearing out of the way. Make sure that we sound kosher. All right. All right, done that. Here's this. Let's go going live on the audio now, folks. So if you are going to listen through the podcast app on Apple or Podomatic, this is where your audio will start. Check 2. Hey, let me make sure that. Check 2. Hey, check. Yeah, we should be fine. If it sounds a little loud, I'm sorry I overdid the volume up. I could have checked it while I had it open on YouTube, but I didn't. So here we go. All right. So let me get these first few things out of the way before I progress any further in this episode. I love my country. I love America. I love everything that it stands for. I love the idea of why it was founded. I love America. There's a Declaration of Independence on that wall right there behind the camera. If I didn't have it plugged up to the Ethernet cable, I'd get up right now and show it to you in my room. There is an American flag that I found laying on the ground in the middle of the road when Hurricane Matthew hit Murrells Inlet. And it's been hanging on my wall ever since. I have to reach through a hole in this flag to turn my lights on in my room. I love America and everything that it stands for. And I'm also, before I go any further down this road, I'm going to apologize right now for there are a lot of friends that I have that commented on my Facebook post about this whole situation, and I want to apologize to you first, like before I do anything else. I'm sorry if anything that I said offended you, but we're adults. This is America. We should have this conversation, and we should have it logically, and we shouldn't. This should be a conversation that should be had, and I'm going to get into all of this in a minute, and I'm going to give a long form address of how I feel about this situation, because I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding my qualm with this whole situation. So I'm going to clear all of that up. So, you guys know that I love America, and you know that I love you. I'm pretty sure that any listener, a regular listener to this podcast, is pretty much going to agree with the things that I've just said. There are a lot of Americans who are such strong supporters of freedom being removed, and I'll explain that. Donald Trump, nobody supports the military like I do. Okay, listen. I was about to say nobody loves the military as much as I do. That's not true. There are a lot of people who love the military more than I do. My granddad was in the military. He fought in the Korean War. And for those of you who have listened to this podcast, you know how high of esteem that I held my granddad. And, y'all know that I loved my granddad, and that pretty much everything that I do is a regurgitation of things that I think he would do or say or whatever have you. We differ on a couple of things, but that's no secret to a listener of this podcast that I love my granddad, and I wanted to be like him. Well, except for the Auburn stuff. But anyway, I've seen a lot of people post on Facebook that, I've had family members that have done this and done the military thing, as if I didn't have that. And you know what I should do? And I know I'm bouncing all around the board. I'm not doing any notes for this because I just got out of the shower a bit ago, and I am wearing the same shirt that I wore last night because I like it and I just don't care. But yeah, I'm doing no notes on this. We're going free verse because I don't want to get in the way of any thought that might occur while I'm doing this thing. I'm going to read you guys exactly what I said, and then I'm going to explain all of these things. If I could get this son of a bitch to open up. Come on, man. All right. Here we go. So what I posted is, and I posted this, by the way, in response. I saw a video, or I saw a picture. John Rich of Big and Rich, who also was one of the guys on the board of the Carolina Country Music Festival, posted a picture of his sound man who cut the Nike swoosh off of his socks in the middle of a gig because they announced Colin Kaepernick as the face of the franchise, so to speak. I immediately thought, wow, is that guy that comfortable with just showing how much of a racist he is to the world? And to most people, I know that they're like, oh, well, to most people who are looking at this from the other side of that coin is saying, this guy right here is an American. This guy right here supports our military. He supports our country so much that he's going to cut up his socks to show this. But I have to let you guys know, and a lot of the folks in my Facebook comments on this thing, most of the people who I've talked to through this are very level-headed people who are not against having an adult conversation about something that we disagree with, which is necessary in this country, or world rather. And a lot of them have gotten their point across, and we have at least seen what page the other one is on. It might not be the same page, but we at least know which one it is now. And a lot of these folks are saying things that I read, and I'm like, do you not see the racism in what you're saying? And I know I'm bouncing all around, and I'm sorry for that, but I've gotten my my post in front of me. I'm going to read that in a second. But my qualm as a whole has really nothing to do with the protest or Colin Kaepernick or Nike. It's mostly with people who are doing things on Facebook that's going to label them as a racist to a lot of the people who see what they post and how comfortable they are with that. And that just blows my mind that people are so, and don't think that I'm talking to anyone in particular here, because I'm not. Everybody has this thing to where, you know, you'll put something on Facebook, and then you'll see somebody else put something else on Facebook, and it's like, man, he's talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about America as a whole. I'm talking about the majority of the people who feel this certain way. And if you fall into that category, then I don't know what to tell you. But I'm not speaking to any one person specifically, but just an idea of who this person is in my mind that I'm speaking to. So you may not think that the things that you're saying are racist, but when a guy is protesting, and he's protesting police brutality, I guess, is on the forefront, but that was just the beginning stages of what he was doing, because that was what was going on in the country at that time, was that people had been shot, or someone had been shot and killed, and the officer who did, and I'm not going down the whole story of that, because we all know it. The officer got off, got paid leave, and that bothered a lot of people in the country. And Colin Kaepernick stated his opinion on that, and that's where it started. What it became was a solidarity through people who said, you know what? There is some shit going on in this country that I don't agree with. I'm not in a position to where I can do anything about it. Yes, we can vote once a year, and yes, we can write our congressman, and we can do this and that, and I know that a lot of people have done that. But for the average people who are not in a position to do said things, I mean, you can only vote once a year, correct? I could be wrong. You can only vote once a year for certain things in your jurisdiction, maybe less than that. I don't fucking know. People can write their congressman every single day. And like I said, a lot of people have done that, and I'm sure that they've voiced their opinions about said subjects. But you know what? All of those things were relevant 50 years ago. Oh, you haven't, you know, the song, what was his name? 16 years old, did the Summertime Blues. Was it Richie Valens? I think it was Richie Valens. Did the Summertime Blues. Like I wrote up my congressman, and he said, quote, "I'd like to help you, son, but you're too young to vote." Those are things that were happening when Richie Valens was playing music. You know what we have now? Technology, the internet, computers. We have modern means of getting our opinions across. Now, there is a lot of negative that comes from that, because now, instead of, you know, you sit next to somebody on the bus, or you sit next to somebody sit next to a table at a restaurant or whatever, and you may hear something that they say at their table, or you may pick up little things that they say in conversations or at a bar or wherever you may be, and that's fine. But now you have everybody's opinion right in front of you at all times. Here's the thing, and I said this earlier with somebody that I was texting, is that we don't really, when you realize in a conversation that the person that you're talking to has their mind made up, then you're not going to convince them of anything. You can have your opinion, and another person can have their opinion. But if those opinions differ, then there comes a point where you have to agree to disagree and move on with your life. Now, it's not your job. Once you realize you're not going to convince somebody, it's not your job to continue to try to hammer down the point, because that just makes you look a certain way. And I realized that a lot of people that were commenting on this post were not going to be swayed. Their minds were made up. They were not going to change their opinion. They were not going to change their mind. And I also understand that in context, through a lot of the things that were said, a lot of people try to pit me, and I'm not saying that a lot of people are trying to do this. Maybe this is just me being over dramatic, 30-something, but I feel like a lot of people are trying to pit me as anti-military or anti-America because I don't share their opinions with this. And I know that a lot of you are not that way. And we've had, and even people that I disagree with wholeheartedly will in the Facebook say, I appreciate having good conversation about this. I appreciate we being able to have an adult conversation about things that we disagree with, because that's what's necessary and missing in this country. But I know that I bounce all around, and I don't even for however many minutes. So I'm just going to read this post. Guess what? Nike doesn't care. I'm sorry for who this will offend, but I'll say again. The guy was peacefully protesting, which is an American right, during a national song concerning an issue that needed to be addressed in our nation. How better to bring attention to an issue? I'm ashamed of my country for how they've acted towards this whole situation, and I truly am. Somehow, in trying to make the world a better place, he's ridiculed and basically blacklisted, and I'll address that in a second, and basically blacklisted. His attempt to bring light to a dark situation has labeled him the anti-American. I can hear you now. Well, if he can't stand up for our flag, then listen, just shut up. It's not about the fucking flag. That's an ignorant and mouth-breathing response. If anything, he's taken a knee to stand up for Americans who don't have a voice. I'm more and more amazed every day to find out how comfortable people are with being racists on here. You may not think that you fall into that category, but from out here in the world of logical thinkers, it looks pretty racist. We as a country are out meddling in the world's affairs where we have no business, and there's crickets. Then we desecrate the song and the flag before our sports ball game and outrage. I'm going to quote Rogan, I can't be the only one seeing this shit. I'm sorry if you're offended by this, but I don't care. Argue with me in the comments. Tell me what I don't understand, but extend me the same courtesy. You don't want to live in an America that forces people to stand for their flag, employee or not. Take my word on that. That was my post. A lot of people were answering that the way that you expect them to. Well, I'm sorry, but there's a time and a place for things. He didn't go out and protest on his own time. He had to do it while he was in front of the nation, while our song was playing, while the flag was raised, while we're supposed to be giving respect to our country. And listen, what exactly is the proper definition of giving respect to a country? Is it being loyal to the flag and And I understand that it's more than just a flag in the song. I understand that it represents the military and the people who have died to keep this country safe and free. And I am very thankful for those people. I am very respectful of our military, and I love our country, as I continue to say and will continue to say. But would one not argue that being a proper American and showing respect to our country would maybe fall under the category of honoring that people do have freedom of speech? I understand that this doesn't apply to when you are on the job and you are working, and then it's whoever that person's company that they work for. If they want to get rid of whoever this person is that doesn't fall under the rule book that they have for their corporation, that is apparently outside of the rule book we have for the country, which I don't think makes a lot of sense, but it's work. What are you going to do? And to touch on that for a second, that's why I do what I do, because I don't want to have to follow anybody else's rules. I'd rather deal with the ones that we've got, which are fine with me. That corporation can do whatever they want to do, and it's then that person's right, or that person's problem. You know, like, okay, I was trying to protest and my company didn't want me to do that, so now I don't have a job. But in the future, when you look back on this, when we look back on, and I'm gonna quote somebody else in my comments, and I'm not naming any of these people because I haven't gotten permission to do so, and I don't want to throw anybody out there. But go back to, was it 1967 or 1960 something, when Rosa Parks sat down on the bus in a spot that she wasn't supposed to sit in. When we look at that, we're like, oh, so people couldn't sit where they wanted to on the bus? And that's just ludicrous to us, right? Isn't that a thought that you're like, oh, well, people couldn't go to school together? Like, people couldn't sit wherever they wanted to on a bus? Like, they couldn't use whatever water fountain they wanted to use, or bathroom, like a restaurant? People weren't allowed to go into all of the same places. That seems ludicrous, right? Now, fast forward 50 years from today. Are we going to look back on this situation as a nation of people who forced someone to stand for a song and a flag? Or are we going to look back on this situation as people who said, okay, this might not have been what I agreed with. He might have gone about this in a way that I don't think he should have. And this turned out a lot differently than I would have liked. But at least we started a conversation and we progressed as a people. I would rather be, personally. And the reason I say that is because all these folks are arguing on Facebook with me about, well, if you don't respect our flag and you don't respect our country and you take away the beauty of what this song means and what this flag means, then you've lost me, and I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say after that. That sounds so Aryan to me. That sounds so Hitler Germany to me. That sounds very North Korea to me. I can't be the only one seeing that. And I'm sorry, I really am sorry that a lot of you folks are right now, or whenever you hear this, are going to hear this and probably cut this off because you think I'm talking about you. And I'm sorry, but if any of the things that I'm saying sound like something that you would say, then I might be. And I apologize for that. But think about what you're saying sounds like. Listen to it from another set of ears. Think about if a person of color were to hear something that you say like that. Like when I say, man, I agree with what you're saying, I just think that people are missing out on the fact that this is something that has happened that has caused a huge disruption in the world as far as how people of color are looked at and treated in situations in where a white person would not have to deal with the same issues. Like, for instance, and I'm gonna quote comedy here. Dave Chappelle, I think, was the one that talks about getting pulled over in a vehicle with a white person, and he's like, "Man, I got this. Don't worry. There's nothing to worry about." But when a black person gets pulled over, there is fear in the car. Dave Chappelle said this. He's like, "Well, we were both black." He says, "I just to let you know, there was fear in the car." We don't experience that. We don't have that. We don't deal with that. We don't deal with that kind of injustice. We just don't. It's true. There's no denying that. And to try to deny that makes you look inherently racist. I apologize, but it does. To combat something like that with saying, "Oh, well, it's not as much. If you look at the numbers, there's so many more blacks killing other blacks." Does that, just hearing me say that, does that not just sound awfully racist? And I'm sorry, I have had this conversation with people who have said that, and you know what? Statistically, they could be right. And statistically, they are right, actually. But is that something that could just go being not said? We have just done so much in the last few years in this country that doesn't sit right with me, but nothing more than continuing to be part of a narrative that sets us further and further and further apart. And one could argue that might be what I've done with this post right here. But you know what? This post right here, in 10 years, in 20 years, or however long it takes, is going to set me apart from everybody else that I'm talking shit about. And I'm sorry, but I want that. I do not want to be counted amongst the people who believe that, or not even believe. I don't want to be part of the sort of people who change the subject when pressed on something that, will you admit that there are racial injustices in this country? Will you admit that people being killed or people being discriminated against is Americans being killed and Americans being discriminated against? Would you agree that those things are less important than standing up for a song that you don't even know the words to and a flag that, it represents this beautiful country and our military? But what is worse in this situation? Is standing up for this flag and standing up for this song before a game more important than American lives and Americans' well-being and Americans' mentality and Americans' lack of comfort in an area that is their home? What's worse in this situation? And when I say that, I still get in response, well, if somebody doesn't want to respect the flag, if somebody doesn't agree with our military or agree with, or if somebody doesn't respect our flag or respect our country or our military, then I don't agree with that person. And they're not going to change my mind at all. And that's just so sad. At least understand what it is that you're against. And people are like, oh, well, the media is showing you this and the media is showing you that. My argument isn't with the media, but with the people on my friends list, people who I see on Facebook who are just not understanding that this does not look good for us as white people. I'm sorry, but we are inherently shitty people. We came to America and took this fucking land from the Indians, from the Native Americans, And we've inherently done a lot of bad shit. And I'm sorry, but to ignore the fact that I have a different, easier walk than a person of color is ludicrous. To ignore that is insane. And everybody's like, oh, well, I wish you'd show me the privilege that I have. The privilege that we have is so second nature to us that we don't even realize that we have it. And I am, and listen, I'm a person, you can probably read back on my Facebook a few years and see there was a time when I was standing up for things that I thought were like, oh, well, I was standing up for the Confederate flag. I was standing up for the Confederate flag. And I said, you know what? Americans of both races fought and died for this flag to be flown. And when it got taken down at the State House, I was very vocal about how I felt about that on Facebook. And you know what? After I read a few of the comments of some people that I have, some people that I have learned to respect and learned to listen to, when then I would just say, oh, well, you feel this way about something, then that obviously puts you in this corner of my mind. So I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. And I am so glad that I decided to not live the rest of my life like that, because now I see the truth and I see what's really going on here. And I see that, you know what? I was wrong about that. I was wrong about how I felt. And I tell you that because a lot of the folks who I'm arguing with now on Facebook are, and I'm not really arguing, I use that word. A lot of the people who I'm having this conversation with now on Facebook are where I was. And I see that people are being blinded by nationalism, which is being sold to them as patriotism, and they are being turned into, I'm not going to use the term Nazi because that's just, it's being thrown around too much, but they're being turned into cogs in a machine that does not need to continue to spin. And I don't know another way to say that. And I will continue to apologize because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I'm not sorry for standing up. And I say stand up. And it's nothing that I'm doing but sitting here talking into a microphone or typing words into the world. But like I said earlier, when writing your congressman and going to the voting booth to vote was the only way to make a difference, then that was the way to do things. When that was the only way you could make a difference, and that was the only thing you could do. There are so many more things we could do now to make a difference. People say Colin Kaepernick should have taken his time, his own time, and said, you know what? I'm going to go out here and I'm going to protest on my own time when I'm not on the clock. But realistically, what does that do? Think about all of the players that you see, unless you watch like a special on the NFL Network, or you watch some sort of random special about a charity that this player donates blah, blah, blah to every year and does these things. You won't hear anything about it. But you know what? Every single person in America saw what he did on the stage that he was on, and I think it's fucking brilliant. I think that he used the most opportune time to get the biggest message across on the biggest stage to the biggest crowd. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I really just don't see anything wrong with that. And if there is something wrong with that, please explain to me better what I'm getting wrong about this situation without using, well, if he's going to if he's going to go and try to get his message of oppression across, then why use a place that's been oppressing people for 20 to 30 years using sweatshops to make their stuff? Well, guess what? The sweatshops have been around for 20 or 30 years. If you're going to complain about that, you're a little fucking late. I'm sorry. I'm crediting Noah Byrne with that. I've told him that I would. So he makes the point there that, you know what, this has been going on for 20 or 30 years while you've been wearing Nike apparel. If you have a problem with that, you picked just the opportune time when it's convenient for you to complain about it. So that argument is void. I'm sorry. But I just don't understand. I don't understand the logic behind all of this argument for. Well, I started saying this earlier, that in the beginning it was about the police brutality, the protest was. But it quickly began to look more like, okay, well, you know what? If you understand that there are racial injustices in this country and that people are treated differently because of the color of their skin, and it's evident that they are, just because of these comments, that I'm seeing, and I say these things not to try to convince somebody who is not going to be convinced, because I know that's not going to work. But I say this so that people that come after me and the people that come after all of this nonsense will be able to look back and look at these things that I'm saying, and it solidifies the side that I'm on, because I don't want to be looked at the way that I look at these other people who are doing these things that they truly, and I don't believe that these people are racist, and I don't believe that but I also don't believe that they're completely aware of how racist some of the things that they're saying sound. Now, if you're a military person, and Smitty posted something today, and I read it, and he's in the military, and he was a Marine. He's been in the military. He gets it. But me and him have had this conversation before. Is he not fighting for their right to do whatever, to do this? Is he not fighting for their right to come over here and protest? And I don't care that you say, oh, well, you shouldn't do it at work. You shouldn't do it at work. You're getting paid blah, blah, blah money. Stand up for the song. You know what? This doesn't matter. The fact that he's getting paid all this money doesn't matter. He's trying to. He did what he knew. He did what he knew best to do, to bring awareness to a situation that he felt strongly about, and he was extremely successful. He was extremely successful in getting the attention. But the sad part about it is that it got the wrong attention, and that people are spending so much more time talking shit about what he was, or what he did during his protest, and taking a knee, in which, and I know that he doesn't speak for all military personnel, but Colin Kaepernick got up with Nate Boyer. And Nate Boyer said, you know what? When people kneel to pray, people kneel at the grave of a fallen soldier and show respect to them. He said, how about instead of sitting on the bench, because he sat down for the first time, he said, how about instead of sitting on the bench, how about you show respect for the military and the country and the people that died for it, and take a knee rather than standing? And that was something that was suggested to Colin Kaepernick by a member of the military. And yes, I get it. He doesn't represent all of the military, and a lot of people may disagree with his idea there, and probably think that he shouldn't have suggested that. But you know what? He did, and it's all done now, and it's all over with, or not even close to over with. It's all done now, and it'll never be over with. But people just are continuously spewing off ignorance and they're not taking a second to look at what they're saying from another person's eyes. And I'm sorry, the Apostle Paul said, I do not want a shred of the world about me when I'm living a godly life. He wants to live a godly life. He wants zero evidence of the world to be about him. I want to live a logical and understanding and what's the word I'm looking? Harmonious, maybe. I want to live a life and leave a legacy that people who look back and say, you know what, he was all about everybody. He was all about Americans, not just about one race of Americans or one group of Americans or one type of Americans or one group of Americans who believe a certain thing or you know what, this is. And I'm talking to my brother-in-law about this, and we've gone back and forth about a lot of stuff. But we're all adults, and we can say things like this and still be fine with each other because that's what adults are supposed to do. But I was saying that either way, choosing to either say, "Listen, I don't support this crap. You're supposed to stand for the national anthem. I don't care. You're just supposed to stand," or you have the right as an American to do what you wish, and American soldiers fight for this right for you. So you have the right to do all of that. Are two sides of a very awful coin that we're not looking at. We're taking sides of this thing, and we're not talking about the coin. And I'm sorry, but there's two sides. You could argue that there's a lot more sides, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, there's only two sides that you can be on of this coin. You can either be for nationalism, or you can be for patriotism and America. I'm sorry, but patriotism and America is not the same as nationalism. Forcing somebody to stand for a song, forcing somebody to stand for your national song is very North Korea and very Hitler. I'm sorry. I may lose listeners because of this. I may lose, and you know what? I don't care. I may lose watchers. I may lose listeners. I may lose friends. But you know what? I apologize again, and I continuously apologize. But if you are the kind of person who doesn't understand that taking a certain side of this is going to label you as a racist to a lot of people, just doesn't sit well with me. And if you'd rather not listen to my podcast, or you'd rather not be my friend, or you'd rather not see the things that I post on Facebook, then that's fine with me. I will be 100% fine. I've thought about this too. My Aunt Marie was a person of color, and she passed away at the age of 35. And my grandparents adopted her in 1972 in Bennettsville, South Carolina. And I've been thinking lately a lot about what Marie would think about this situation, because she was unlike a lot of people. She was a person of color who got to go out into the world and experience the things that other people of color experience. But she was raised from a white family, and also raised me basically, and left a lot of her beliefs and a lot of the things that she thinks the world should be like in me. And that is a lot of the reason why I'm so adamant about this situation, is because I believe that she would also be. I think that she would probably say, you know what, there probably was a better time that he could have done it, but it was effective, and he got his point across to a lot of people. And if, just like the starfish story, if you can save only one, then you've done something. And I will say this, that I personally look at situations differently today because of, one, how having Marie Hudgens in my life all of those years to show me that there are certain things that you can't do, that you can't say, that is going to make people look at you differently. And if you don't care how people look at you, then that's fine. But just be careful that they don't look at something that you do and label everybody else that looks like you in the same box, which is what I'm trying to reverse. I want people to look at me and maybe see that we're not all mouth-breathing idiots who believe that people should be forced into patriotism, which is basically nationalism, as I continue to say. And I'm starting to repeat myself a lot for you, Cheese. I apologize about that. And I should call this the I'm sorry talk because I just keep apologizing. But I'm going to close with this. All I really want to let people know is that you don't want the kind of country that you're pushing for. You don't want the kind of country that's going to force somebody to stand up for a song unless you want to end up in North Korea or Russia or Hitler Germany. You don't want to end up in a place like that. And I'm telling you that, and listen, I'm sorry, but when I call shit, I'm usually fucking right. The history is on my side with this. I'm telling you, we're heading there. We are on our way to be in a country that is going to force people to do something that a country should never force somebody to do. Not let alone a country that was founded on not being forced to do things that their country wanted to force them to do. Am I the only one seeing this shit? I'm sorry. Am I the only one seeing this? That history tends to repeat itself, and we are not on the good side of the coin of history that's going to repeat itself. Right now, we're not. And I'm sorry. Argue with me when you see me. Tell me how you feel about this. I'm going to post this video in the comments of that post, by the way, and I'll receive my lashings appropriately, and I'll take them right on the chin. I don't care. Don't hold back. Let me know what you think. Tell me the truth. I don't care. I'm an adult. I can handle it, and I expect people to extend me the same courtesy that I extend them. Is that when I hear your words and I hear what you have to say, and I respond, then I expect you to treat me with the same respect that I'm going to treat you with. So, that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I ordered my new Nikes last night. I ordered the new Alabama Nikes last night. And you know what? I would have waited a couple of weeks after they go down in price a little bit. But you know what? I just did it out of absolute respect for somebody who is practicing being an American and who's standing up for somebody who doesn't have a voice for themselves. And I'm not ashamed of that at all. And I never will be. I never will be ashamed of standing up for an American who's doing America the right way. And if you don't think that it's the right way, then we're all in this Fred Flintstone car, and you're the ones with your feet down, dragging your feet. We're all trying to move forward here. Pick up your feet. If you're not gonna allow us to move forward, at least don't hold us back. At least let us progress. If it's slower than I would like, then that's fine. I don't care. Just let us progress in this country in a way to where we can look at each other and say, you know what? We are all the same. We are all in this ride together. And God forbid people, listen, bring awareness to these sweatshops that Nike is using before a person of color is selected to be the face of the franchise. Because now bringing up that argument is kind of making you look a little bit more racist than you really think. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say in all of this, is that just be careful what you're doing, and be careful what you say and how you react to these things, and examine your mind, because you may not realize that the things that you're doing are setting you on a side of this coin that you don't want to be on. And you'll have to just take my word on that. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. But just take my word on the fact that you don't want to be on the side of the coin that you're landing yourself on by not supporting this decision. I'm going to get out of here because I'm just fucking rambling now. I probably should have done bullet points, but I don't care. I want it to be free verse. I want to get out what I believe without any. I want to roam without offense. I wanted to not know where I was going to end up, so that would give me the opportunity to maybe say something that I wouldn't have. To maybe say something that I wouldn't have planned, or something that, or going down a road that I maybe wouldn't have gone down had I had structure. And I don't really care that this is very haphazardly recorded and all bounced around, because everything that I said I believe in, and I'm in a country full of people who are very adamant in their own beliefs. And I have no problem with that at all. The only problem that I have with this country and the people in it right now are people who support something just for the sake of supporting it and not understanding why they support it, or understanding what supporting said thing means. So I'll leave you with that. Just know what you support means. All right, I got nothing for you to listen to, nothing for you to watch. I'll tell you what to listen to. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your own words, except listen to them from the ears of a person of color. Listen to them from the ears of somebody who has been misrepresented in this country drastically. Listen to them from somebody who is not yourself. And if you can hear those words that you're saying, whether they're based in facts or not, if you can hear the words that you say, then, but for instance, if there are 12 kids killed in a school shooting, if you go around and say, yeah, well, technically 7 died in the shooting, and the other kids, I can't do math that fast. The other kids were 5. The other 5 kids were casualties of something else that happened in the hospital. Is that factual? Yes. Does that make you sound like a douchebag that you said it? Absolutely. We're in the same situation here. Yes, people are being misrepresented. Yes, people are dying at the hands of police brutality and are being misrepresented because of their skin color. And are black on black crimes maybe statistically higher than that of other crimes? Maybe, but it makes you sound like a racist to bring it up. I'm sorry. That's the end of my story. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I love you. I'm going to leave you with that. Listen to your words through somebody else's ears. Watch your actions through somebody else's eyes. That's what your listen to and to watch this week is. Do that. Make this country the place that it can be. Make yourself a person that you can be, and leave good things in this world for the people to come after. Not this negativity, backpedaling nationalism that is being served to you as patriotism every single day. Don't be that person. In a world of people, in a world of that person, don't be that person, please. I'm sorry. I love you. I truly do. Argue with me. Have a conversation with me. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. Tell me what I'm getting right. That's all I got for you. All right. Peace, bitches. All right. I'm done with the audio, but I will leave you with this because I'm posting this video in the comments of the Facebook post that I read to you earlier. I don't mean to rattle feathers. I don't mean to just bring these things up for the sake of watching the world burn. I'm not one of those people who wants to sit. Sometimes I do, but a lot of people who follow me on Facebook, you see that I post Onion articles. Most of the things that I publish are something to do with the Braves or Alabama football or something that's hilarious or funny things. Every now and again I try to be inspirational, but I can't sit back and watch people. I can't sit back and watch people just put this negativity out in the world without understanding what that negativity means. And if it's not my right to do that, then I can't argue with that. It's not my right to do that. But you know what? I had to address this. I had to address this situation because there's people I love and respect who don't realize what their words mean and their actions mean. And I to sit by and allow that to happen, I can't abide that. All right. That's all I got for you, YouTube. Thanks for watching. I should have said all this at the beginning of this video. I have some factual corrections to the talk that I gave about the situation at Uncle Tito's, but I'm going to have to wait a few more days before I release those factual corrections because of the situation and legalities and such. But I will leave you with this. Don't believe everything that you see or read about this just yet. There's still more information out there that hasn't been released yet, that will be released soon. Just stay tuned for all of that, and it'll be coming at you within days. But anyway, I'm getting out of here. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, share these videos. If you give a shit about anything that I'm saying, then please do those things. And if you don't, do them anyway. Love ya. Mean it.